Just like that. It's Monday. Unbelievable. Hi, gang. It's Russ Kane. You know that. Not a mystery. I'm back in Narnia. And hell of a show for you today. Packed. Absolutely packed. I'm so excited. And the reaction on social media when I said who the guests were, they like everyone going potty. Not as potty. Not as potty as when they know who else is on regularly on a Monday and with his own show on a Wednesday. The king of comedy in the whole Tolworth area. I'm extending that. I'm going to say a lot of South West London. You heard it first. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him, you love him. The Longie man, Neil Long.
Hello, Russ. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank God I've been to the chemist and got my... I'm joking.
Good for you. I actually got through to a final of another of a comedy competition yesterday.
Whoa, want to hear. Go on, quick.
Well, I didn't even know I was competing, and then suddenly they said I was a wild card for the final in December.
Oh my God.
Which is really cool, because last time I got knocked out of the semis, which I thought getting to the semis
by somebody called Ricky Gervais. It was a close run thing. Right. Bravo. So when is this?
1st
December this year.
This year.
Oh man, we've got to come and root for you. Can we come and see you? We're coming.
If you
we're
wish.
coming and root.
I want to work on a tight 5 and be as funny as I can in
tight
5 minutes.
Well, I'll start working now. You've only got till December. If you've never done stand-up, before we introduce our first guest, if you've never done stand-up and you think, oh, it just 5 minutes, what does it take to write? 15 minutes? No, months.
No.
Months. If you want it to be good, it takes months. There is cool, ladies and gentlemen. There is very cool. And I'm looking on my screen, and there is this guy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome RAPHAEL MEADE.
Hello.
You're too cool. Too cool.
How are we?
Sorry, man. You're too cool. That's like, I don't feel cool anymore now. I was doing all right.
I'm sorry.
I went out, got my pills from the chemist and had a coffee. I was feeling quite buoyant. I'm looking at you. Feel like an old fart now. No good. No good.
You're bigging me up, mate. I love it.
I am bigging you up. And why not? Julia Champion should be bigging you up, but she managed to send an email meant for you to me this morning.
Okay.
Bravo. Well done, Julia. Anyway, I replied, as you. I told her she was fired. I hope that's all right with you. Tell us about yourself, because you've got TV coming up and all sorts of stuff. And I loved the whole wording that I got, which I forgot to send to Neil. And now I feel embarrassed. I'm sorry, Neil. But
don't worry, I'll pick it up as we go along.
Yes, you will. So, RAPHAEL, tell us all about yourself, please.
Well, yeah, as you said, RAPHAEL Meade. Quick little bit of info. I've been mistaken for the footballer since I was 18. I'm 62 now. So
you're how old? What?
I'm 62.
Shut up. Are you kidding me? Jesus. Neil, the guy's 6. I thought he was like, I don't know. I read the thing. I thought you were like, I don't know, late 20s. 62.
Yeah, I wish.
You're doing all right, it would seem.
God almighty.
In my late 20s, in my head.
RAPHAEL, can I say on behalf of Neil Long and myself, whatever you're on, we'd like a pint intravenously, please. whatever the hell it is.
I'll see what I can do for you.
Yeah, see what you can. I don't care what it is. We want it. Both Neil and I absolutely want it. All right. So, what are you up to? Tell us what it is. This is coming in from New York. That's Elizabeth Green watching in New York City right now. Okay.
Yeah, so as I was saying, I've been mistaken for a footballer since I was 18, but in my own right, carpenter.
What, Bobby Moore?
No, RAPHAEL Meade. He used to play for Arsenal.
Charlie George.
Do you know what? I still get posts today asking me to sign autographs and stuff.
So who is it they think it? Who? I know nothing about football. Neil probably knows about football. I know nothing.
Yeah.
I'm afraid not. I'm literally the last one to talk to about football.
Yeah, well, I've had it so long, it's ridiculous. But I'm the carpenter.
You're a carpenter, yeah.
And now
only just begun, close to you. What more do you want?
Yeah.
I think you made that joke only yesterday.
So you're a carpenter by trade,
yeah,
right? But there's a big twist to this. Big twist to this, right?
Yeah.
Which is
I started TV by accident in a reality show
Oh,
back in 2016. I don't know if you remember it, Eden.
Eden. No, I
was on
got to
Channel
share
4.
something with you, Raphael. I
Go on,
never
what was
watch reality shows. I watch Strictly Come Dancing. That's it. Otherwise,
Do you know what?
I'd rather hammer a masonry nail into my skull. I'll be honest with you. It's not for me.
Of all the things I've done, of all the
Yeah.
things I'd like to do, that's something
Yeah.
that I would absolutely love to do.
What, hammer a nail into my skull? That's not very nice.
Dance on
Jesus,
Strictly.
Neil, help. This is getting out of hand.
What
Right.
reality show would you like to be on, Raphael?
Yeah, Strictly.
We'll leave it to Julia.
When I
Julia
was
can
a
fix
kid-
that.
I think
Oh,
after
when I
Bill
was-
Bailey did us all proud, you know,
Oh,
I think
yeah, Bill Bailey.
it's a great one to be on.
Oh yeah, well, that would be top for me if I ever got on that. And that's only because when I was a kid, I wanted to be a ballet dancer, but my mum said
Right.
Your mum
said-
said no.
My mum weren't having it, and she had the purse strings, so nothing I could do.
Oh, right.
I was
Was
only
she
about
tough?
8.
You wouldn't fancy I'm a Celebrity or Love Island?
No, I would do. Love Island. Too old for that.
Yeah. Come on.
Love Island.
Good-looking
What do I
fella.
know about love? What do I know about love? I'm married.
There.
Ooh, and you are so in the spare bedroom for the next week, fella. Telling you now. Good luck. If you're lucky, if she allows you in, otherwise it's a sofa for you.
No, I would
Give it
do
over.
a celebrity. Yeah, I'll tell you why I would do. I'm a celebrity is because
Go on.
when we were in Eden,
Yeah.
there was nothing we wouldn't eat. We were so hungry.
Oh,
If you had lied down long enough
yeah.
and not moved, I'd have
Yeah.
eaten you too. That's how hungry
Not the
we
first
were.
to say that.
Wow.
I'm a good-looking fella. So what is? Well, I don't know anything. I don't remember Eden. What was the deal with Eden? What was the before we get on to you? Because I know everyone's going. Oh, what was Eden? They're probably screaming at the television.
Yeah.
Now.
Well,
Screaming.
Eden
Yeah.
was a reality show based on survival. We were
Oh,
23 of us. We were starting again.
right.
And we never had nothing of no mechanical stuff that was battery operated or power operated. Everything
Right.
was hand tools and nowhere to live, nothing to eat, nothing was prepared. It was just
Where were you? Croydon.
Oh, I've got mates that live in Croydon.
Well, I won't boast about that, frankly. It's not bigging yourself up there, fella. So what,
No,
did they fly you out to the middle of, I'm loving this. Did they fly you out to the middle of nowhere or something?
Yeah, where were you?
Where were you?
We were in northwest coast of Scotland, Ardnamurchan.
Right.
Oh, right,
So literally
right.
nothing there, and you had to forage and
Nothing.
find your own food. Nothing.
Just
So what
forage.
did you do? How
God.
did you, apart from being tempted to eat each other, how did you survive? What did you do?
Well, everybody had their own skills, and we just got on with it. Chopped down trees, hunted animals, killed the animals.
Hang on. You're like a carpenter, right? You're not trained to hunt and kill animals. How
No.
did you just find it within yourself? I'm serious question. Did you find it just within yourself? Right, I got to eat. I'm going to kill an animal.
Well, I didn't do the animal killing. We had a hunter.
Oh yeah, right. Sure, of course you didn't. No, yeah.
There was a hunter.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
And everybody
How
had
many?
their own.
How many? Raphael, how many dogs went missing that week in Scotland? We're having
There
roast
was one
poodle
every day,
tonight.
it was up to
Ooh,
me.
thank you. That's shocking, right? And how long did they dump you there for?
Well, I did 7 months. It was a year.
What?
It was for 1 year.
A year?
What?
I think you were going to say for like a week or something.
I'm thinking Lizzie Cundy, a week.
No.
You know,
The
Vanessa
premise of the
Feltz, a
show-
week.
No, the premise of the show was to start life again.
Hang on. What were you drinking? Where were you? Where were you living? I mean,
We
I
we
can't get
lived
over
where,
this.
in whatever we built. I was the carpenter, so we had a place we called the crib.
a
And
crib,
then
right?
after a little bit of tension in the place, everybody split up and went off and did their own thing.
How long before somebody got the conch and then you started killing each other? Lord of the Flies reference there, everybody.
That
Okay.
that was building. It was getting to that point. It was terrible.
How quickly? And this is not why you're here, but I knew nothing about this. And
Yeah, go on.
Neil, when he's much more well read in the field of mental health, etc., than I am, and studies it, I don't. And so Neil often talks about tribalism and people splitting into tribes, especially with like social media, etc. How quickly did you start to feel that tribalism with these complete strangers was happening?
That happened when there was 23 of us at first, and for the first couple of months it was, had its tensions, but it was okay. It was in the last few months, around the time when I left, 7 months, that's when the tribalism kicked in. Hard, big, really.
I think if people are put in literally a survival situation for that long, the way we think when we're in survival is very different to how we would think on an average day like today. I can well imagine.
Yeah, wow. It really
fascinating social experiment.
Jeez, I can't believe that.
But
so, when you said you left, I'm sorry, this just fascinates me. When you said you left, were you able to say, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, or hocus pocus, take me home, or were you had the right to leave?
It was something like that. No, it's because I befriended someone in there. We're tight today. He's my boy now. I'm his godfather, in fact, today. And it was a case of he was I would say the least liked person in there, and he was the person with the biggest heart.
Why was he the least liked? What was he doing that made him less popular than the rest in that context?
I don't know what it is about. His name's Anton. When he is, he's gonna do me. But yeah, his name's Anton, and for whatever reason, they just didn't like him. And he was always giving. And I used to say to him, I was his strength, if anything. And I'd say to him, don't give them. They're only around you because they want your coffee or they want your Haribos or whatever. Because we all do. Haribos are valuable, I'm telling you, mate.
What, did you grow your own Haribos? I mean, how did you know? Did you you couldn't take anything, so how come he had Haribos?
No, because you're allowed to take nibbles. You had a bag of 65 kg bag. You're allowed to put what you want in it, to a degree. So some people took nibbles and stuff. He took coffee and Haribos and cigarettes. So while he was in supply of those kind of things, they were his friends. But once they got what they wanted,
I would have taken an Uber number and got the hell out of there after half an hour.
Yeah, so I imagine things like Haribo in a place like that would be currency, wouldn't it? It'd be like cigarettes in prison, wouldn't it? It's currency.
I'm that's exactly what it was. But that's what got me into TV.
Right. So what are you doing on TV now?
Right. What I'm doing now, I've got 2 shows out at the moment. One's called and
you got 2?
Well, I'm only in a small portion.
That's just showing off, frankly.
I wish I was. No, Key to a Fortune is about people that come into inheritance, unbeknown to them, through a relative that they may or may not have remembered, and they've been left something, and we surprise them and let them know, this is yours. Yeah, what are you going to do with it?
Oh, right.
Ooh.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So
I'm a property expert in that one.
So what happens? They suddenly you knock on their.
So this is not a drama. This is real. This is real people being left real things.
This is real. Yeah. Make contact with you. Find out if you want to be televised, and then we take you to the given place and say, "This is yours. What would you like to do with it? Are you gonna keep it, fix it, sell it?"
So they've inherited. I'm so sorry. I'm being a bit thick here. But it's Monday. What the hell? They've inherited a property.
Yeah.
Right.
Or land, property or land,
right?
Yeah.
Which they didn't know about. So Great Aunt Maud has popped her clogs, and you knock on 33 the High Street, and you say, "Hello, are you Neil Long?" And Neil Long goes, "Yes." And he goes, "You've just inherited a property in Shropshire." And he goes, "Okay."
In Croydon.
We're
gonna keep coming.
Well, I know you're right. Thanks.
And you'd go, well, you can come in for tea, keep the property to be fair. So anyway, right, and then you take them to this, whatever it is.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm making it up as like I do with all my shows.
And it's a case of saying, right, this is yours.
Yeah.
This is what's wrong with it. This is what's right with it. Such and such
Right.
has passed on, and it's now left to you as the closest relative. What would you like to do?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Has it been filmed? Presumably, it's already filmed and
It's been
ready
filmed.
for
It's
transmission.
now out. It's out. Yes, it's been transmitted out now. Yes.
Oh, it's out. It's already.
Yeah,
What's it on? What channel? Give it
on
a big
Channel
plug.
4. Channel 4
Channel 4.
on Sunday.
Okay.
I could almost see you collaborating with Jay Blades on the repair shop, and I can't remember
You're
the name
reading
of
my
the
mind.
DIY SOS. Get the three of that together. That would make
Oh,
quite a
man.
potent,
That's
wouldn't
not
it?
a bad
What's his
idea.
name? Nick.
You are so reading my mind. I was thinking J Blades.
That's
Knowles.
not a bad idea. My other show is called Ex-Con, where I'm working with my son, and we are.
Oh, okay.
We're interviewing people that have been to prison
Right.
and finding out their stories. But the twist on this is that the people that we interview
Yep.
have turned their life around, and they're making a positive of their circumstance. You know, they're starting their own charities, and they're finding a way to give back. Meanwhile, we're interviewing, we're also building something that is close and near and dear to them to give to somebody.
Wow.
That's
okay.
really good.
And that's out. Is that out the end of this month? Am I
That's
going mad?
out now. You can get that streaming on Crime and Investigating.
Ooh, we like that. We like
Yeah.
that. Excellent stuff. Did you, in your wildest dreams, ever think you'd be doing TV?
Furthest thing from my mind, I'm just such a happy-go-lucky person.
So how did it happen? How did it happen for you? I know you said when you left the island. Were you
Good agent.
Well, I was
headhunted after that? Or?
Good agent.
I was minding my business. I never had an agent in them days. I was just a contractor, and I was running a firm. I used to have a firm, and I've got some friends that like to play pranks. One friend in particular, and I got a phone call, and I thought it was my friend. How would you like to go away for a year? So I haven't got time for this. I'm busy, and I kept hanging up the phone. This went on for 24 hours thereabouts, and eventually I thought, no, this can't be a joke. Let me hear what they got to say. So I listened, and the thing was, most of my life, I'm an armchair enthusiast, let's say. And I'd sit and shouting at the telly, going, oh, I could do that. What's that? Oh, behave yourself. I just decided to put my money where my mouth was for a change.
Wow.
And being a boy that I've never been camping, fishing, never done none of that. I'm a city boy.
Yeah.
But after that, after you'd done your 7 months on the island, how did you get the TV jobs after that? It's because you were known and headhunted?
Yeah, no, what happened was I retired. I retired on the show, and me and my missus kept going on holiday. But she said, I need something. You look bored. You need something to do. Go back to work. Find something. And a producer friend from the show, put me in contact with an agency. And I started doing little things. But then a friend of mine from Instagram put me in contact with Julia.
Yeah.
Big up, Danny. Put me in touch with Julia.
She's rubbish.
And she's been
rubbish.
doing everything. You put the feelers out there, and I've just been popping up here and there.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Just commenting on something you said a while ago. This is from Dr. Asa Don Brown, that's really senior in psychology in the USA
in
and Canada.
northeastern United States, watching live.
Indeed, and I've answered your text, Dr. Asa, because we're going to try and get him on the show, and I've asked him if he's free on Wednesday. So if you are Dr. Asa, that'd be brilliant. But we would definitely get you booked in on a Wednesday. But talking about the person that was most disliked on the island, what I hear you is saying that this fellow was authentic. Authentic people are often considered a threat, especially when they have a peaceful heart and mind. Interesting.
Anton is such a beautiful soul. I'm his godfather now. And these people went out of their way not to listen to what he had to say, because he researched the program before we went, so he was prepared.
Right.
Listen, how prepared Anton is. If I knew the world was going to end, I'd want to be around his house.
Right.
He would know what to do. He's one of them people.
Right.
He's so on it. And they just refused to listen to him. Yet, at the same time, they were doing things that he was saying we should do.
And then taking credit for it themselves, no doubt.
That's so lame. Isn't that lame? That's just completely lame. It's rubbish, isn't it? People never fail to disappoint. That's the great thing about people. Every time. Yeah, every single time. So you got two. So this is pretty cool. You've got two shows running. on 2 different channels, which you're fronting up, which is fantastic. I love the one. I love both of them. I love,
Well,
and I hope.
Key to a Fortune is being fronted by Gene Johansson.
By who?
Gene
Simmons from Kiss. I know he's not touring anymore. I didn't think he'd be doing a Channel 4 show, but anyway, okay, fair enough. Gene Simmons property show. Can you imagine?
He's just sold his whole back catalogue.
300 million.
Yeah, I'm
300 million they just sold a back catalogue for Kiss. Bless them.
Graham Pack, that normally makes facetious remarks, actually has a sensible question. Were the film crew on the island 24/7 or at certain times only?
No, there was a embedded crew and fixed rigs everywhere, cameras everywhere, and we had 4 camera members who lived with us.
Right.
But during the course of time, during that 7 months when I was there, people were dropping off one by one. When I left, there was 14 of us, and everything just seemed to be. It was like the calm before the storm. You know, you just felt like, it feels like something's going to go off. That's what it actually felt like. And I remember I was recorded saying that, and then the next day, everything was up in the air. I was going to use the strong word.
What did you win if you were the last man standing? What did you win on this show?
Oh no, it wasn't no last man standing. It was about just making a new society.
Now, if Neil and I were on the show, it would be the last man standing. I'm telling you now. It would be Squid Game. Sorry, it'd be Squid Game. I could put up with my own company, but strangers for 7 months. Oh my God, no, Squid Game. No one would get to sleep that time. telling you now.
It was an excellent idea, but it didn't come to fruition.
But in the history of human beings, we've all had these. I'm not saying this is what the show was for, but there's been these kind of visions of people who try to create communities, to create the heaven on earth and all that sort of thing. Yeah, and it's never worked. Not once, not ever. Something always goes wrong. It's the human factor. It just doesn't work, in my opinion.
Yeah, no. Do you know what?
You're right.
If it had been a case of, if it had been real and those cameras hadn't been there, certain people wouldn't be around today. Let's just put it that way.
See? Squid Game.
It got that bad.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
They completely lost sight.
Things like that, or people that say we're going to create a utopia. I'm like,
yeah. How did that work out for George Jones? I mean, it didn't work out too well.
The thing about it is that the same members who created the situation were the same people that wanted the TV life. Yeah. They come on the show specifically, like one of the characters, I won't name him, but he had all the gear because he was hoping that this company would see him wearing their clobber.
Yeah. Right. And he gets sponsored.
He's doing product placement already. I mean, crikey,
he's not wasting any time there.
The guy for trying.
Yeah, but what he ended up doing was coming out of the show and having to take himself off of social media because he got ripped to bits.
Yeah, because people don't like that. People don't. Do you think they hired certain people just to create drama? Because
good idea, Neil. Good question.
I don't know about any other situation, but on Eden, no, because they were being themselves. I think it would be hard to be false for a year. A few days, yes, everybody was happy, and you could slowly start seeing the cracks creeping in where people, the real you starts coming out. So
tell me this, Raphael, tell me this, and don't have to answer if you don't want to, and I don't want to mounts. When people say you're going to go away for a year, obviously people have stopped working. So was there a fee? I mean, don't tell me what it was. That's not my business. But was there a fee or salary or what?
That's one of the things that created one of the tension moments. You weren't paid. However, all your expenses were covered, and it worked out because I was the oldest. I was getting the most. And when people found out how much money I was
and you were the nicest. It was based on the fact that you were the nicest.
They were screwing some of them because some people went in there for nothing. But then those same people that went for nothing were living at home with their parents and things like that.
So they had nothing to lose. So they might as well just go and... Did they, when you were talking to... This is something Neil and I talk about a lot. This ludicrous notion, I've got to be on TV. I've got to be on TV. And when I get on TV, everything will be great in my life. Was that what you were seeing with these other competitors?
No.
No. Oh.
It was so the opposite. Like some of the girls that were in the show wouldn't come out from them. We made it. We built a crib, and everyone sectioned off their areas.
Right.
And some of the girls would not come out of their section until they were done up to the nines. I kid you not.
God,
They would. We all stunk, but they would not come out unless their faces were done right. And no,
wow.
it really turned into something.
How
crazy.
did you wash?
Because when you're trying to survive, that's really important, right?
It is very important. Neil never goes anywhere without eyeliner and those Maybelline, a little bit of Maybelline. He is the poster boy for Maybelline, to be honest with you. Amazing.
Yeah.
Adverts
Thanks,
are
Russ.
fantastic.
It's absolutely crazy. It was a good experience. The thing is, though, I benefited from it because, as I said, I was a city boy. But
Yeah.
I now know that if you were to chuck me in the middle of nowhere, I could survive.
Did you find being out in nature, not that I'm suggesting you have problems with your mental health, but healing to
Clearly
your mental
not.
health and well-being, being out in nature, or was the fact that you were surviving kind of counterbalancing that?
No, that's a good question. Now, some people did have, and still today have, mental health issues. Now, I myself, I had a moment when I had to speak to the doctor. We were allowed a satellite phone if we felt we was going through turmoil or mental.
Yeah.
And he said to me, when I spoke to him, he was asking me how I'm feeling, and I said, right now I just want to choke somebody, etc., blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And he said, of all the people that were in there, he worried about me the least because I don't hold on to things. I express it there and then. Like if you upset me, I'm telling you now. So he said, of all the people in here, I worry about you the least because you express yourself and you're not afraid to let it go. Whereas if you had been holding on to it, it's going to build and build and then you start in yourself.
At least you're processing it in the moment. Yeah.
That's so good. So remind us of the titles of the shows that you're on again. Give it a great big plug.
Right, it's Key to a Fortune.
Key to a Fortune,
which is on Sundays on Channel 4.
Right.
And Crime and Investigation channel is Ex-Con Carpenters, which you can get streaming.
I love that.
And I'm
I
doing
love
that one
that.
with my son.
One last question from the normally facetious Mr. Pack, but a serious question for once. Oh, hang on. Oh, Key to a Fortune, Channel 4. Sorry, Neil, that's good.
What was the other one? I'll put it on the screen, Raphael.
Crime, Ex-Con Carpenters, and it's on Crime and Investigation Play streaming.
Ex-Con.
It's also on YouTube.
I'm loving it. I'm absolutely blooming loving it. One last question, then we got to let you go. Did the contestants get voted out during the process or leave when they'd had enough?
Are we talking about Eden?
Yeah, Eden again, yeah.
No, it was no voting. We were supposed to be creating a community. 24 at the beginning, 24 at the end, but it never worked out.
That's never going to happen, was it? Never. I'd last 24 hours, and about 24 people. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's really interesting your trajectory of success because, like you say, people are, just from a mental well-being point of view, people are desperate to get on TV and they think once they get on TV, life's going to be magical. And we've seen over and over again that doesn't work. You're kind of like, I don't really care. And yet you seem to be doing really better than most of these people that are desperate for it, mentally and career-wise. I think we can all learn from that.
That's the way you handle it. That's the way you handle it.
Thank you very much.
Because when you're desperate, it comes across. And when you relax, it comes to you.
They do. Yeah, they say in Hollywood, desperation stinks.
Yeah, well, so did they in Eden on that island because there was no proper facilities. Pooey. And on that highbrow note,
that's all I can do.
On that highbrow note, have fun. Please come back and see us again because you're
really,
terrific.
really good
Loved
to meet
it.
you, Raphael. Good luck with everything.
Lovely.
Thank you very much.
Loved it. Okay.
Take care, my friend.
And tell by the way, and just when you see Julia, just send her a message and go boob-tastic. Boob-tastic. That's all you have to do. Trust me.
Fantastic.
Boob-tastic. Yeah, we're talking my language. See you, fella. Bye-bye.
All the best, Raphael.
Lovely guy. We like him. No time to chit-chat. This guy, I have been a fan of for years. 4 years. I'm saying it before he's here. All right. In terms of doing a one-man show, in terms of creating characters, some of which just absolutely crack me up, in terms of being able to just go from hilarious to deadly, deadly serious and really scary. I can't think of anybody else. The only person I could put up there would be Eddie Marsden, I think. But I think this guy is in a league of his own. I've been a massive fan for years. I've met him many times, and he's every bit as lovely as you might think.
And some rather
Ladies and
tasteful
gentlemen,
guitars in the background as well.
he's got some fabulous axes there. Steve First.
Hello, can you hear me?
Greetings, Steve. Before we came on air, I heard Russ evangelizing and eulogizing about your guitars, and now I can see why. Look at that.
Well, I mean, I'm
Nice
sort
lamp
of,
as well.
thank you. I'm sort of looking. There's some more down there as well.
Oh my
my
God.
God.
I'm sort of. I am a collector, but there's nothing of any great value, monetary wise. But
So I'm not trying to nick them. I just think they're nice.
Well, I'm pleased you said
I
that,
know,
Steve, because Neil will
it's
be
not
around
like
your
I'm-
house tonight.
yeah, it's not like a gauche display of wealth. It's, but I do love them all, and they all
It looks
serve
like
a
Bill
different
Bailey's
purpose.
playroom.
There you go. I do. Music is kind of my main hobby, I'd say.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That was your
I love-
hobby.
I muck around a lot with music and playing on Logic and doing all sorts.
Yes,
yeah.
great fun.
Yeah,
I was once in a studio, Steve.
yeah.
Back in the day in another life, and they had guitars on the wall. It was Guy Chambers who did all the
Guy
Guy Chambers, and he had these guitars. And I'm looking, and I'm saying this one, that one, and there's like a Stratocaster and Telecaster. On the wall was so rare a no-caster. There was like 1 year in the very early 50s when it didn't have a proper name.
Right.
So it wasn't a Telecaster and it wasn't a Stratocaster, and it was just there. And I thought, holy God! I mean, it was like the holy grail of guitar. I just thought,
Oh, mate.
yeah, it was terrific. I can't play a note, so there we go. Right, you're on. Before we get on to all the amazing things you've done, congratulations on your Fagin, by the way, which everyone who saw it raved about it.
Thank
Been
you.
absolutely potty
Thank
about
you.
it. It was terrific. I was hoping it was going to
great,
come to town.
great. It won't come to town. I'll tell you
No.
that now.
No, I know.
It's
No,
a
you
cruel
said.
business that we're in. Cruel business. By rights, it should. We were pretty much the best reviewed show of any show last year, and but because Cameron McIntosh is he's obsessed by that show that he owns, and he always wanted to do his own revamped version, which he's doing in Chichester in the summer, and he intends to bring that into town next year rather than ours, which is a kind of weirdly risky strategy because his is going to be immediately compared to the one that we did.
You did.
Yeah, that could be interesting. What if yours turned out to be more popular than that one? That could be a bit awkward, but in a good way.
Be embarrassing. That's what it would be. Be embarrassing. But when
I-
you're a multi-squillionaire, who cares?
It doesn't matter, but
it's only ego.
It is only ego. And I took a look at the poster for his forthcoming production at Chichester, and there, words and music by Lionel Bart, and underneath it, revisions by Cameron McIntosh.
Oh, my
And you're
God.
like, this
hello.
show's sort of perfect as it is without the meddling hands of Mr. McIntosh.
What's he gonna? I wonder what he's gonna do, Steve. Because
I don't
Oliver is
know.
just like it is. I don't really like musicals. I'll be honest with you, but Oliver seems to me like they've created Lionel Bart created just the perfect piece. It's just
Actually, Back to the Future musical is pretty good. The Back to the Future musical is pretty good.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
I'm not particularly mad on musicals either, generally,
that's a
but
lot
there
of
are
fun.
some.
I mean, there are some. Matilda was pretty damn fine, which I was in for a long time.
Well, anything Roald Dahl's going to be good, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's what Tim. I have to say, it's what Tim Minchin did with that. And,
Tim Minchin is an absolute
bloody
genius.
genius.
He really is.
Tim Minchin, absolutely fantastic, absolutely funny too, really funny.
And
now
funny
we'll get
and
back
lovely.
to all this, but I know that you wanted to come on and chat about something very specific, and then we're going to get back to you because that's how we are.
Well,
What
yes.
brings you here, sir? Your forum.
Well, knowing the work that you do and the great the worthy chat that you do around kind of mental illness and men with problems, especially, I I used to live in Hastings, and my dear friend Glenn, who is a retired builder, he's got semi-retired, he's 74, has got the most remarkable garden I've ever seen. I mean, and he's kind of built it himself over many years, and it's in a very nondescript part of Hastings called Hollington. And Glenn suffered an awful tragedy when they lost their son Luke about 15 years ago, and this garden that was pretty magical sort of went to rack and ruin, and he couldn't feel like he could do anything in it. And then with the advent of COVID, he rebuilt the garden even bigger and better. He's got a venue that's completely, it seats like 150, and there's all these areas, and I mean it's extraordinary. It's like a Narnia. It's very deceptive and very genuinely magical. But what happens in the garden now is that they have a regular men's group where men every month gather around a fire pit and talk. And
nice.
Because I initially thought that the documentary that I wanted to make was about this garden and about Glenn. And then it became apparent that no, it's going to be more about the work that goes on in the garden. And the garden is a springboard for men to talk, and a neutral space and a magical space. And I went to the men's group this last week and did my first I thought I was going to go as an observer, as someone who wants to make this documentary, but I of course became a participant, and it was very moving, and I came away just going, this is a documentary that definitely needs to be
recently edited a podcast for a client of mine, and it's very much similar to that, talking about the ability of taking masks off, and for most people, men, when they're being honest and not trying to hide behind a mask or bravado, it seems an absolute relief. Finally, you can say what you really feel without being judged in a sorry, Russ, I know you don't like the phrase safe space or non.
Well, I like the phrase non-judgmental. Yeah, fire pit's great.
But it's a good thing. It's a good thing, and it is a good thing that we don't do more of it, I think.
Well, what struck me was the extraordinary respect for what everybody else was saying, and there were about 9 of us, and there was an incredible cross section of people. The 2 youngest members of the group I found the most moving, because they're so troubled and they're so young, and it's
how young were
they? Youngest I'd say was 20, then the next one was about 22. A lifetime of tragedy, and you can only compare it to your own upbringing, and mine was a kind of safe, cosseted, northwest London Jewish middle class family.
Mine too, but not Jewish and not northwest, but pretty much the same apart from that.
Same sort of thing, but what struck me was how extraordinarily silent it was when because there is a talking stick that is passed around. It's a small bit of wood, and whenever anyone has that piece of wood, the respect for whoever is talking, and the silence, and some people might talk for a minute, some might talk for 8-9 minutes or whatever. It was sort of, I found it quite profound. Anyway, I want to make this documentary. We've made a taster.
Can I make one point before you say that, Steve? I want to make one point, and it's really interesting, I think, the diametric opposite between Raphael's experience during Eden, when everyone had no respect for each other.
Oh, good point.
Went into their own little groups, and it's very angry, and openly and subtextually it's very angry. And what you've said, which is so important, that when you go to these men groups, no one's sneering, no one's laughing, and there is respect. And you've just...
Well, it shows that we have the capacity for both, doesn't it? And it depends on the context that we're in.
But, no, I think you're right. I think context is everything, because I did make Chris, who is the group leader who formed the men's group, Hastings Men's Group Network. it's not like, there is a lot of, but men have always had pubs to talk in. Yes, they have. And those places are usually arenas for moaning, for, oh God, my wife doesn't understand me. Oh, I had an awful time at work, whatever, it's that sort of, but also
Arsenal
alcohol
lost or something,
and Arsenal lost, but also what you're drinking affects the tone of how you are talking and how you are being received. So people are talking over each other. There's bravado. There's a lot of self-medication going on. So when you strip all that away and you just sit and you staring at a fire, it's sort of very primal, and it's very unfettered by anything else. So I think that's key. Honestly,
there is one exception. It's a young lad, I can't remember his name, and he actually does it in a pub, and it's called the Grieving Pint, and he's only young. And this is something else that strikes me. Some really people that I would consider really young, it's in their early 20s, but the wisdom that they're talking in their tender years, you think, God, they've been here before. But you're right. The pub is exactly that. Apart from this one thing, there is this thing called the Grieving Pint. Again, it's another podcast I edited, and I thought, this is because in a sense, men felt safe there. Or
listen,
this demographic, at least, they felt safe to relax and take the mask off.
And I think that's why the term safe space comes into play. It's not that you feel that it isn't safe, but it is a communal space to be honest, and a lot of these men were like, there was one guy who'd never been there before. He was in his 40s, and he left by saying, I feel a tremendous weight is being lifted. And you're like, if there's nothing else, you've just probably you've made the next few days a lot more palatable by unburdening yourself.
Correct.
You are hitting on all the key words there, because most men who have experienced something like this, the number one emotion I would say is relief. And it's just like, I'm even getting goosebumps saying I can stop with the bravado, I can take the mask down and just be me.
And
good
also,
and bad.
And also that you come away thinking, I'm second guessing here, but this is from all the hundreds of interviews we've done, you're not the only person feeling like this. It's not just you. It's millions of people. You're not on your own.
Because, as we've said so many times on this show, if you have any mental disorder at all, you feel like you're the only one. And that couldn't be further from the truth. By its very nature, a mental condition is isolating. Then you've got social media on top of that, where you would think that everyone's having a wonderful time, apart from you.
Right. Your documentary, Mr. First.
This sounds fascinating. Tell us more about that. How long is it going to be? When's it going to get made? Tell us more.
Well, so we're in the middle of crowdfunding it, which of course, to anybody really now knows that you reach out to the community and beyond and say, this is what we would like to do. And that is to make I don't know, I'm feeling between 45 minutes and an hour is where we're at. We launched that a couple of weeks ago in Hastings, and the local paper covered it, and it's on all the usual our socials. And I'm making it with a company called Yellow Lens, which is run by a friend of mine, Reese, and Reese is a documentary maker. So he is a phenomenal editor and a very beautiful soul, and he loves this garden. He came with me to interview my friend Glenn, whose garden it is, and we shot a party that night in the garden. And that little 3.5 minute film, 4-minute film, is on the crowdfunder website.
Little teaser.
A little teaser.
Can we put the URL on the screen? Have you got it handy?
Yes. So let me put the URL here. It's
if you copy and paste it into the chat, and then I can put it on the screen.
Let me push
it. Can I put it into? Oh wait, so I'm not high enough there. There you go. I'm just putting it there.
Okay.
That's it there. Or on my own.
Thank you. What I'll do, I'll make a shorter link out of this so it's easier for people to go to.
Oh, bless you. Thank you. You can go to my website and it's on my news page.
We want it up now. Well. We want it up now.
That's fine. Give me a moment.
So the big question, the big question is, how can we help you in return for all the fantastic entertainment that you've given us over the years, which is exceptional, and because it's a subject close to my heart and Neil's heart, how can we help you? practically?
Well, it
What
is.
do we do?
It is spreading the word,
Mhm.
and by donating, we are after $6.5 grand to make this, but would like to raise more. We've got another few weeks to do that in. We will make this documentary. I mean, there's no question. We're sort of so invested in it, and I think the other thing is because we want to get quite deep into the men's group and those that are attending. The only way to do that is to actually be involved. And that's why going down this week and showing that it's not us and them, it's all of us. So for the next few months, I don't think we're going to start making this for a couple of months, but for the next 2-3 months, we will be attending the groups. We will be trying to gain the trust of those that attend it, because I can understand they might think, well, who are you? You know, you want to interview me about my story and so forth. And it's like, we do, but we have somebody involved who is very, in fact, and the person who runs the men's group himself, they're very aware of triggers and about, you know, about we're dealing with very brittle people and very brittle issues, and we have a duty of care with that. So
very much.
What do you want the film?
If you'd like to see a little teaser of that, I've shortened the link. It goes to exactly the same link. I've just made it easier.
Right.
tinyurl.com/mental health garden. That will take you straight to the long link that you put in the comments. Tiny, and it goes, I've checked it. tinyurl.com/mental health garden. So if anyone would like to see what Steve's talking about, pop that link into your browser and have a look.
Two things, but I'll put this question coming in from New York, from Elizabeth Green. How do you tackle confidentiality if you're televising it?
Well, you don't feature anybody who doesn't want to be featured. So that's firstly. So if someone is happy for their story to be told and for us to interview them, then you see, we're not talking about, I think confidentiality is the wrong word, because it's not confidentiality. If someone wants their story to be told, they want their story to be told. If they don't, then I suppose that is confidentiality, and we won't feature it. We wouldn't dare feature or make anybody uncomfortable that doesn't, you know, I mean, we're kid gloves.
It's just not that kind of TV. It's not about that. It's not because there's a whole section of TV which is all about triggering people, and this is the opposite.
Precisely that. And I mean, it's set in a garden, and you know, it is called a garden in Hastings, and the garden is very important. And we will be featuring what goes on at other times in the garden, as well as a backdrop to the men's group. And also, you know, it's not in a faceless room in an office somewhere in Hastings. It is in the bucolic surroundings, and very unusual surroundings, because of, you know, it's on a housing estate. You can't believe where you are. It's pretty.
What would you like?
Don't you find these little havens just in the middle of where you least expect them to? And it's like,
absolutely, urban wildlife.
Yes, I know. Yeah, and it's surprising where they are.
Steve, what would you like? I guess the big question is, what do you want the project to achieve?
I would like it to be in some way to provide inspiration for other people, no matter where they are, to think about doing a men's group in, you know, maybe they're, you know, in England, maybe they're in America, maybe it doesn't really matter where. It's, you know, the beautiful thing about technology now is that something that you make can travel instantaneously to across the world. And if that can provide the springboard for somebody to go, do you know what? In our community, I don't think people are talking enough. It's a very simple thing to set up. It doesn't cost anything. The other thing is, after the group, they always have a barbecue, so that the fire that was sat around, on goes the grate, everyone brings sausages or whatever, and then they're grilled, and then you stand around and you have a chat for an hour, kind of without having to be center of attention, and then you all check out and say goodbye till next month. So, you know, there's something very primal and basic about that. But once again, it sort of balances the you in the spotlight moment to just going, you know, one of them sort of gravitated toward me and wanted to chat about you know, whatever else. And it's lovely. You sort of you feel a kind of connection during everyone's.
Tell you what I
speeches.
think, Steve. What I'm not keen about, and what I like about this, what I'm not keen about is, and we've had God knows how many guests on talking about it over the years, is especially in America, it's the Iron Man thing. It's kind of like the Iron Man, and they go into the woods in the middle of, I don't know, Oregon or Christ knows where. It doesn't really matter, but somewhere really, and it gets very primitive. And I'm thinking, yeah, we're not filming the opening sequence of 2001 here. Ease up a bit. You don't need that. I mean, if you want to do it, great. I mean, my idea of hell, frankly, but this, because I was only triggered to say that because you said the word primal, but it's more than that. It's kind of nice and social as well. It's a lovely thing, and you're using the fire pit without going crazy and putting woad on your face and using axes, which they think that's how you become a man. No, it's not really how you become a man. You just become a decent person.
No, I was invited to one of those groups, and it's just too cold for me. Do you know what I mean? You're sitting there in your underpants and you're up north and you're getting in an ice bath, and it's like, no, I just the idea of food at the end of it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's important. Exactly. I did a summer of cold showers, and I'm like, why am I doing this? We're edging toward the autumn. I'm already. It's no. So
no. It is apparently very good for you, but
it is, and I get why people do it, and that I've got other things that I do.
Doing it just for 30 seconds in the morning is enough, by the way. It doesn't have to be these endurance tests.
Right.
According to Michael Mosley, who is the guru on all things like this for me, 30 seconds, between 10 and 30 seconds is enough, everybody.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Yeah.
This is an interesting point, and I hadn't thought about this. This is from somebody, I think, watching on my espresso bar group. Talking to that's clever. I've not seen this. Talking to a fire pit is better than eye-to-eye contact if you don't want to do that. I think that's really neat.
That's why people have awkward conversations in cars when they don't have to look at each other.
Yeah, and I think this is exactly it when it's Kimmy as well.
It's Kimmy. It's Kimmy.
Hello, Kimmy.
Kimmy Lashmar.
No, Glenn, who set the garden up, and Glenn doesn't take part in the men's group because he talks too much and talks over people. So he gets so enthusiastic. So he's like, he does the intro and then goes up to the house. But it was his idea to have the fire pit conversation for exactly that a lot of people prefer to just look into the fire, and then it can be a very. I mean, it is so primal, but it takes the onus away, and then
that's really clever.
Some people do lift their eyes from that, and then we'll talk to people. But initially, that point of focus doesn't have to be you looking at everybody, which can be very scary.
And it's also very true. Some brilliant Australian psychologists, Alan and Barbara Pease, have written about this. Men need fire gazing time. Okay,
really?
They advise it because they're a man and a woman writing together. So it's balanced. It's not saying one gender is better than the other, any of that nonsense. But they're saying to live together in harmony. If she allows him to have 30 minutes fire gazing, could be a fire pit, could be watching telly, just mindless gazing, he will come back a better man from that, because that is actually recharging his testosterone, and that will actually help him feel better. And he will be a better man for that. 30 minutes. You're welcome, girls.
Yeah.
So when I'm watching TV, I'm becoming a better man.
If it's mindless and you're just kind of gazing.
Everything I watch is
always mindless.
It's always mindless. What do you think? I don't watch documentaries. Of course I watch mindless. Terrible films.
Yeah.
Some of them meant to be terrible and some of them meant to be fabulous, and they're still terrible. Now, let's get on to you. Okay. What's coming up next? What's coming? Oh, yeah. I'm John. What's coming up next for you professionally?
I'm back doing a few Lenny Beige gigs, which I haven't done for a very long time, and I'm singing
Lenny Beige.
Lenny Beige, yeah.
Yes, this is Lenny Beige.
Yeah.
This is the Lenny Beige.
I'm singing with the incredible, incomparable Leanne Carroll, who's definitely one of our great national treasures as a jazz singer. She's extraordinary. So we're doing some gigs together, and then I am currently filming something for the Kingdom channel, which I didn't even know existed.
The Kingdom channel?
It's a religious channel.
Oh, Who knew?
it's a new telling of a Bible story, of a New Testament story, and quite high end. I mean, and some brilliant actors in it. So we're doing that at the moment, and then I'm writing a show about Fagin, because I thought I don't want that to be the last time I play Fagin. Role of a lifetime. I was so pissed off this Cameron thing.
Do you actually feel that it was the role of a lifetime? Because you've done so many other things, like, oh my God, Steve, it's Steve on telly, and I get all excited.
I get, but my TV career is too bitty, and so to do something that is sort of that well known and to put your own spin on it happens very rarely. And
because I saw you in Miss Scarlet and the Duke, which I love that series. I was introduced to that, and I love that. And then up you popped. And then, funnily enough, Chantal Rickards, who I'm sure you must know, she was the former head CEO of BAFTA in Los Angeles, a very, very dear friend. Used to be my landlady in LA as well. She reviewed the new Ewan McGregor flick.
Gentleman in Moscow.
Gentleman in Moscow. And up came you again.
In the first episode,
Yeah,
but again, it's entirely unsatisfactory because you're only in it for like a couple of scenes and you're like, oh, you know, so it can be a blessing and a curse, but you do kind of want. That was why, you know, doing a show is great, because you get.
I've got to ask a personal question. I must, because I'm so sorry, Neil, but otherwise I've got no one else to ask this question. Miss Scarlet and the Duke, which I love that series, right? Where's it filmed?
Serbia. Belgrade.
Yes, because the credits come up and I go, well, that's not some Surrey.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
I
loved, I mean, God, Serbia was just fun. I like I think it's because my Hungarian roots. I like a bit of faded ex-communist kind of gulaggy vibe going on, and it's both very beautiful and a bit like, and I love that.
Brings us back to Croydon. I don't know, Croydon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but without the beauty. And they love, you know, I've given up drinking now, but they do. I'm still drinking then, and they do love their cocktail bars, and you know. It's just a very. I love going away to film, and I've been
going back to drinking, or is that it? You've decided you never.
I don't know. At the moment,
do you feel better for it?
Yeah, I feel mentally better for it, and I get, you know, I don't. That it's not having hangovers is a boon, and
that is nice. Yes,
and I can drive everywhere again, which is always lovely.
That is nice, and there's some nice alcohol-free beers now. I've got a friend who's
oh my God, aren't they? Yeah.
A massive Lenny Beige fan. I've got shout out Jen. She would come up and see.
Hello,
Lenny
Jen. Oh, bless. Well,
massive fan of Lenny Beige.
Oh,
now, Steve, here's an interesting question, because you become so many different people, and I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. The fact is, when I see you, and I've seen you one man shake, there is nothing of the Steve First that I know, that I've met several times and had coffee with, etc. There's nothing. You are three-dimensionally that character. You just are. Where other people, I look and I go, oh, that's Anthony Hopkins.
Okay.
I mean, he's genius, and I couldn't act my way out of paper bag. But you think, oh, it's Anthony Hopkins kind of being Anthony Hopkins, or it's whatever it is. Do you prefer being you or not you in shows? Ask Graham Pack.
Not me, always. Not me, always. I think because I never feel particularly comfortable being me, even by myself. I don't feel particularly. I'm always happier wearing a wig, always happier putting on a voice, and I've got better at it. Who knew? You do get better at these things, but I was a very late developer, so I think when I started doing my one-man shows in my 40s, like properly doing them, and you know, going deep into those characters, it's just a very difficult. They're very intense shows to do, and and I hate promoting, and I don't have a promoter. I've got an agent, and I've
got comedian friends that are preparing for Edinburgh, and trust me. I know. Have you done Edinburgh? You must have.
I used to back in the day. I wouldn't go now if you dragged me. You know, we would go up, a promoter would take the punt, and you would, if you made money, and sometimes I actually made money. I mean, it's you know, and I've got friends like you say who go up now, who are stand-ups. I'm really gifted, don't make a penny. Are usually 5 to 10 down on the deal. You know, you're like, it's sort of got. I think it's got to stop. I think
There's
it's
two great
insanity.
myths about Edinburgh, and because even at my low level of doing that, I've done it once because I wanted it on the bucket list. I thought it'd be fun, so I had
Yeah.
zero expectations, and I just had a lot of fun. It was great. Saw a lot of tremendous shows. One is, I'm going to go to Edinburgh and be discovered. No, you're not. You're really not going to go to Edinburgh and be discovered. It's never going to happen. Okay, it's a nonsense. It's an urban myth. The agents and the TV companies already know.
They already know
you're going to Edinburgh, and then it looks like, oh my gosh, we saw Neil Long. And never going to happen. All right, so that's just nonsense. And two, you won't make money. You'll lose money, but you'll have fun. If you want to go and enjoy yourself for a few weeks,
it's a great party and incredible fun. But I was under no illusion.
But don't go to try and make money, and you'll never be discovered. You are kidding yourself. You've got 3,000 other acts to compete with.
Absolutely.
3,000.
And
3,000.
And then other festivals on top of that. And I do think it's a great experience, and it's part of cutting your teeth in the business. And it's the first time a lot of people have ever done successive shows, for an intense time for 3 to 4 weeks. I mean, I used to think it was like a marathon, and then I did a year and a half, but did 650 shows of the same bloody show, and that was that's when you start.
That Matilda?
That was Matilda, and then you're like, by the end of it, you're like, I'm sort of done now. I know people that have been in some shows for 10 years more.
Wow.
I mean, insanity. I couldn't
do it. I couldn't.
It's just,
I've got to be honest, and I'm not trying to get in on the act. I'm really not. I did those huge pantos for 9 years, did the really massive pantos for 9 years, right? And they were 84 shows, 2 months. And honestly, by the end of it, I thought, oh God, let this end.
They are crazy.
Please let this end. I had a lot of fun. The pay was great. I can't complain. But boy, I got bored out of my skull. I've got a very low threshold of boredom. Anyone knows me. I couldn't bear it doing the same thing day after day after day after day. It was just drove me
it
nuts.
can be difficult, and not phoning it in, where you have to kind of be zing, 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 especially when you're working with kids. It's like,
oh God, yes.
They're so happy and they're so bouncy and full of energy, and it's just a life-changing experience for most of them.
Yeah,
and
totally.
you need to be you ride their energy and their love for it.
My mentor for that was the great Russ Abbott, who is not only a genius comedian and writer, but a wonderful actor. A wonderful actor.
He did Fagin as well.
Yeah, yes, he did. We talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
And he said to me, Russell, you've got to understand, the people coming to the audience on whatever show, what it might be, Matilda, it doesn't matter. They've never seen the show before.
Yeah.
So for them, it's all excitement. You might have done it 70 times. Doesn't matter. 700 times. Doesn't matter. For them, it's the first experience. You owe it to them to give 100%. And I thought,
I used to think how much people had paid in the, if you've got a family of 5 and you're coming to see Matilda and you're paying then, which was 10 years ago, more, they were paying 80 quid a ticket. Yeah. You're like, well, that's 300 quid. Then you got your parking and then you got dinner as well. And, maybe, I mean, it's like, it's a 500 quid commitment. So you're going to be doing this once a year. So you're very mindful, especially when a family came in, of you're giving the best you can do. So
precisely. Let me ask you this: as a performer, there's a little tiny bit of a background. My family, mum and dad, and everybody grew up with the Souchets. We all grew up with the Souchets, so I knew David very, very well. Holiday together as kids and all this nonsense, right? And I once said, David, I don't understand. Sometimes I would go on, and it's not about me. This is about performing. I'd go on the stage and I'd do the same gag. Lift the roof. Marvelous. I'd go on the next day, exactly the same. Nothing. Goes flat. And I said, David, what is it? Is it like the animal instinct of an audience? And he said to me, I'll never forget it, but I'd like to ask you. He said, Russ, what are the chances of 1,500, 2,000 people all being in a bad mood simultaneously? He said, it's impossible. It has to be the performer. So I'm fascinated. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, there's always going to be a strange gig that you went, oh, I don't know what happened there. There is always an anomaly, always. But for if a gag is a great gag, I had a fantastic one I'm going to say on Saturday, which is like, I've got maybe 2 or 3 Motown puns left in me, 4 tops. Now, that's all. A gag like that's so silly, but it will always get a laugh. Now, if it doesn't, I've kind of think, well, it's probably down to the way I've told it. I tend to think if you've got a bulletproof show, you've sort of got a bulletproof show, and whilst it might not all be extraordinary, you know, in terms of the love and the outpouring of laughter, it will generally be pretty good.
Because I find about a 95% success rate, which is great with my stand-up.
Right.
But sometimes it just doesn't work. And sometimes I do it exactly the same. So I don't think it is sometimes, but not always the performer. Because I could do the same material 2 nights in a row, so when I did it the first time round, and some places it would storm and some places flat. But I did exactly the same. Or I thought I did.
Well, you think, I think the key is, you think you. I don't know. Who knows? I find it a fascinating.
But I've questioned this anomalous thing. I mean, as a DJ, any DJ gets into trouble, always put on Robin S. Show Me Love. Most DJs know that. But there are or Black Eyed Peas. I got a feeling. However, there are times even that will clear the dance floor.
Nothing will ensure a fuller dance floor than Rabbit by Chaz and Dave ever.
I love you, man. I love you.
I love Chaz and Dave very deeply, very deeply, very, very deeply.
They were marvelous. I'm in touch on Twitter. To my total surprise, I didn't even realize it was his daughter, and I got the opportunity.
Juliet or
is Dave still going by himself? Does he do? Not
really. Occasionally for gigs, but not really.
Right.
I got them into the first time I ever met them. Well, it was on Night Fever years ago on Channel 5, which I used to do every week, and then so we became friends. But I got them to be in a short film with me, and they were just a joy, an absolute joy. Yeah, much missed.
It's so nice to hear that people that you really like are the same off as when they're on, because it even now at my advanced years, it is such a brutal disappointment when you go and I can't wait, and they're absolute shit.
First time they were having lunch in front of me, they were eating jellied eels.
Oh, get out!
And that exactly that was utterly mind blowing. And I wondered if they brought them from the outside to the canteen just as a way of like, we are proper Cockneys, even though they were from North East London rather than from East. But yeah, they're Edmonton way. But
Edmonton, yes. Right. So before we must let you go because I know you. But last question, Lenny Beige, where and when is the next outing?
It's actually in Hastings on Saturday night, but we're going to put some more gigs at Crazy Coq's in.
Crazy Coq.
That will be.
You've never been to
Crazy Coq. Glittering West End.
It's the best.
It's lovely. It's one of the few left. I mean, you know, there aren't many cabaret spaces, and you know, I saw a very depressing map that a friend of mine had posted, which was of all the club venues in Soho. From about 1930 to now, they're all bleeping, all these little lights flashing.
Oh, God.
And then over the years, and there's literally just 3 lights flashing now. And from before, it was like, it was just a very, very stark kind of bleak descending into what is the situation we're in now, which is venues have all gone, and they've all gone.
Because we need more.
I mean, there are a couple, I know, and there are a couple of ones that have opened up, which have been very welcomed, but they are, you know, they're few and far between.
Manages to pull it off.
Steve
First, you are a legend.
Bless you both. Thank you very much for having me on. You too, Longie. Thank you, and well done. Keep up the good work.
tinyorl.com/mental health garden if you'd like to have a look at Steve's work, which he was talking about in the early part of the show. That link will take you straight there.
Brilliant.
Neil Longie Long will be back on Wednesday. I'll be back with the gang, except for Phil Dave, because I just can't stand him anymore. Just because I'm a nerd. So Chantel and I will be back on Friday. Until then, try and stay out of trouble. Bye-bye.